When it comes to choosing an LMS for my classroom, I decided to go with Microsoft Teams because this is what most of our students and teachers are already used to. They've either used it for a classroom or for a club in order to keep up with anything going on in the school. When students first open up a Teams, it automatically opens up to the general channel, which is why I decided to make an announcement to let students know where they could go for any information they might be needing. The general channel is where I would post any announcements, letting them know anything going on with the classroom. The home page just shows them information about the class schedule, letting them know what's coming up next, any assignments that have been uploaded, the About Me section for the teacher, just letting them know who I am and when they can have a meeting if they need one, and recent files uploaded. On top of that, there's a link to the Getting Started module, and it will automatically open the first module showing them the English 4 syllabus because I decided to make the first 6 weeks of English 4 for my course. But the entire course would be English 4. Here's the course description, course objectives, required materials, grading policy, and just anything students may need to know. The 6 weeks I created was the introduction course, the introduction unit. The year is split up into 6-week units for us, and this is what the rest of the year would look like for the seniors. There are also links to 2 videos on YouTube, one of which is the Introduction to Microsoft Teams, and the other one is an Introduction to Formative. They can easily open up a tutorial and a
Welcome to
quick
Formative.
start guide. It lets them know how to use both platforms. When it comes to their assignments, students can find them in 2 places. Either in the Assignments tab, which will show them what's upcoming, what's past due, and what's been returned to them. But the main way that students will be getting their work is through the Classwork tab, because they can see how many files, how many links, and how many assignments each tab has very quickly. It also sets up the entire course in order from week 1 to week 6 for them. For example, they know that week 1 has 3 assignments, one of which is going to be in Nearpod, which is what I prefer to use both in person and online whenever I need to have a lecture in the classroom. The reason why Nearpod is so great for students is because whether it's at home or in class, if you create a video and have them go through it on Nearpod, they'll be able to watch the video, answer questions to prove that they're actually watching the video, and not all of them are multiple choice. Some of them are short answer, and you can create an Nearpod with any video on YouTube or any video you create. It is a great alternative to lectures, whether it be in class or online. On top of lectures, the students will have assignments, which will have directions for them to complete, and then they'll complete all of their assignments on Formative. Formative is great because teachers can create lessons, they can create teacher-guided worksheets, or they can simply create assignments for students to complete at home. In this case, because this is a completely online course, it would look similar to this. Students will get the instructions. They can zoom in on the picture so that they can read the poem or whatever it is that they have assigned to them and answer the questions one at a time. It also separates it into sections. So if there's more than one resource for them to use, they'll know that it's in different sections. Also in the assignments page, if we look at week 2, where students are starting to complete their reading, again, they'll read a chapter, answer questions on formative, and then they'll have a formative lesson on specific themes that may be present in those chapters. So when it comes to reading their chapters, some students prefer to read it themselves. So I've attached the PDF of the actual book for any student who wants to read the book. And I've also attached an audiobook for those students who may be listening on the go, or for students who just prefer to listen to a story instead of watching it or instead of reading it. At a glance, students know what all's available to them, and they'll already know what the end goal is going to be. When it comes to Teams channels, there are various ways to create one. There's, of course, the general channel, where announcements can be posted, and by simply using the @ symbol, it will send a message to all students in the channel. The weekly discussion post channel is where students will discuss the themes of each section or each week with the other students within their class. And the way that we keep students from posting on this channel is when we manage the channel, we can turn on channel moderation, in which only whoever is designated a channel moderator can create posts, but everyone can respond to posts. If I were to have a group project and I wanted to put students into groups, I can also create channels and only add specific members to said channel. That way there is a separate channel for each group member, and only the group members in that group can see that channel and what discussions are going on in it. The reason Microsoft Teams works so well with our district is because we also utilize what's called Clever, which is a single sign-on system in which students sign on and it saves all of their passwords. All of the district provided resources are housed here for us as educators. And if there is a specific resource that we like, we can add it to our teacher page. That way, when students log on to our teacher page, they know that if it's here, it's most likely something used for our class. There's formative, there's Nearpod, and that way, if a student has trouble finding something in Teams, they can log into their Clever, and if they know that it's a Nearpod, they can just click on Nearpod. Or if they know that it's informative, they can just click on formative by finding my teacher page. We know how much analytics are important to teachers and how much data is used within the teaching world. So grades would populate here for any students available. Once they've completed it, the reflect section let students check in once they're done with an emotion. You can choose to hide the names or show the names. And it just lets you know whenever the student has completed an assignment, how are they feeling the moment they completed it. There's also an Insights tab that had there been any students on this Teams, I could see what their digital activity is, their assignments and submissions, how much they've read, and how much they've reflected. Just lets me know what each student is doing when they interact with the Teams page.